Hey there, everyone. Welcome to A Slice of Life with Kelly and Jon. Today, our guest is a fitness expert, Cindy Fox. And you have been doing fitness your whole life, right?
Yes, I started as an instructor about 17, which is where I met John at a gym that had opened. It's actually a health spa
You
in St.
weren't
Marcus.
17 when I met you.
What?
You weren't 17 when I met
Well, I don't know when you joined, but that's how old I am when I started, when the place opened.
Mhm.
But I had actually worked out with a boyfriend in a garage when I was 16. He had these free weights, and they were the kind with the sand in it. That's telling you how long ago that was. And so I went to the gym and I said, well, I know how to do free weights and I do gymnastics. I'm a cheerleader. So can you teach me? And back then you didn't actually need to be like a certified personal trainer. I don't even think they were called that back then. Most of the people I worked with were either already going to school to be phys ed teacher, one was going to be a dentist. So at that time, they could basically train you if you were trainable to work in the gym, to put people through programs, to teach classes. And then years later, all the certifications came along, which is,
Mhm.
uh, primary aerobics, step aerobics, and the whole trend that followed.
Wow. Wow. So how has it helped you through your life? I mean, you're probably one of the healthiest people I know, I would guess. Do you still do it actively
I
and
do,
still?
yes. I actually teach every morning a class, maybe 6 days a week, but that is basically my workout. So if for some
Yeah.
reason I'm not teaching, I'm not getting a workout because I do also work in the hospital. I do train other clients, and it's always a trade-off. Do I fit them in my schedule, or do I take the time to myself to work out? Which then brings me back to the same as everyone else. You're trying to squeeze in a workout when you have to take care of your family and the house and your job. So for
Yeah.
me, it's the same thing, which is why I have kept teaching classes my whole life, because I learned very early that I do not do well if I do not continue exercise. It affects my mental health and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And as you get older, it's more important. I have a desk job, so I have to remind myself. I told my boss one day, I go, anytime we're on the phone, I'm up walking, I'm pacing because it gives me a chance to get up because otherwise I'm just sitting at my desk all day and it's so unhealthy. So I try to squeeze in any activity, physical activity that I can. And as
Yeah.
you get older, yeah, you start getting stiff. You aren't as
Well, I mean, it's not like Cindy spent just her life doing that. You had kids too, if I'm not mistaken, in that.
Yes. So it was also at a time when you did not see women very often working out pregnant. When I had my first child, who was born in 89, that was a time where most of the doctors were telling you, oh, well, you need to take it easy, you could walk. But I was 22 and I was thinking, you are not telling me I'm not going to work out. That's not happening.
wow.
And I would continue teaching classes until I was 8.5 months pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
And then even when they said, no, no, you have to stop now, I still kept coming in to take the classes. And I could remember it was, this was before the step aerobics, I think, but I was coming in to take someone else's class. And she looked at me knowing I was going in the next day to have a C-section because I was already
Oh.
past my due date. She was like, please do not take my class today.
She
I'm
didn't want to
like,
have to
look,
deliver
if
a
anything
baby.
happens, just call an ambulance. I'll be fine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh.
but I was just an active person growing up, and I realized once I got out of high school, I didn't realize how important it was to me that very first year of graduating high school, where now I wasn't doing cheerleading or softball, and I was still teaching, maybe one class a day. But like you said, when you're sitting the majority of your day at an office, you're not burning calories throughout the day.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the same thing. I went from being active all day to now it's summer break. And why not watch General Hospital? And, I'm bored. Let me just eat. And I gained probably 10 or 15 pounds by the time the first summer was over. And all of a sudden, like, what happened? Why don't my clothes fit? And I never had to diet. I didn't know anything about it. And I started obsessing over it. And I started doing these quick fixes and I had no clue. You know, I thought going to the diner and getting a bran muffin with my coffee was a diet food back then.
Hmm.
So I went through a good 20 years after that of battling with eating disorders and fighting
Mm.
to keep my weight. I would obsess over every time I gained weight. So I could really relate to people struggling. Most people will look at me and be like, "Oh, but you're not overweight. You could afford to eat that piece of cake." I said, "Yeah, I could afford the 300 calories, but it's what it does to me after I eat it. You know, the cycle of, oh, now I want more sugar, now I'm going to binge and,
Yep.
you know, so
Yep.
it's a
I've
lifestyle
grew up
change."
eating sugar and I've always been a sugar addict. I feel like that's my worst habit. Um, and I understand it completely. And I did the same thing when I was younger. I weighed 100 pounds my whole life. But man, if I gained 5 pounds, I would freak out and starve myself, which is not healthy because then you're messing with your metabolism.
Exactly.
Um, and so, yeah, and especially, how the pressure on women to be so thin. There's a lot of pressure by society, and it's healthier. I mean, you don't want to be hugely overweight, but it's healthier for all of us to
Yes.
be thinner.
Yes.
So,
I also felt that pressure that you're talking about because since the people that knew me at the gym for those first couple of years I was teaching, I was so fit. It was never an issue. And when I started getting a little out of control to the point where I was up 25 pounds and I was not okay with that. I was embarrassed. I actually
mm,
quit the gym because I didn't want to run into people I knew. And that was not working. So I tried joining another gym, which was just a nightmare. And that's when it occurred to me that I think for the rest of my life, I have to work in the gym. I have to be teaching classes because it's so easy, especially when you feel down on yourself, you know, that cycle. Well, now I'm doing everything wrong. So I might as well just keep on eating and forget about the gym. And then it just keeps getting worse. So even if I'm in that state of mind, the fact that I still had to show up in the morning and teach the class, you know, maybe only burning 300 calories, but what it does for your body and your mental state after that, at least, you know, you got the endorphins, you're feeling more
yeah.
energetic and just in a better mood overall. So you feel like, okay, it's a new day. I could do this.
If I'm not mistaken, Cindy, you also have your own business. You go to people's homes or and you work with people specifically.
Yes.
Come closer to the camera. I
Oh,
want to.
sure.
There you go. See ya. We want to see ya.
Because I was training people for many years, most of the time it was at the gym. Sometimes I would go to their homes. And then I think it was around 2005, I started the LLC, which is the Cindy Fox Fitness, which the website cindyfoxfitness.com. But also, Fox is my name. That is my maiden name, my birth name, and I was able to do something really cool with the logo. I had a graphic, you know, designer design this for me, and it started from there. And from classes, I would go to some corporate places and teach. And especially once COVID happened, when everybody was in lockdown, the gyms were closed. At first, I had clients right in my complex saying, well, maybe we could just work out outside, keep a little distance. So it started with that. And, you know, that was March. So it was still very cold and rainy. Then, well, what if we go in my basement and we'll just stay far apart? Yeah, let's do that. And before you knew it, I had groups of people at the park and
Oh,
um,
wow.
or I would go to one girl's house and started. The one girl moved away. She wanted me to do Zoom at the time. I said, I don't know a thing about Zoom. I didn't need to know about Zoom because when we went into lockdown, which I also work in a hospital, so I wind up doing almost full time in the hospital for that. I didn't
Uh,
need to do Zoom, but it worked out to my benefit. It just, so now I would go to one girl's house and I would log on with maybe four or five other girls and we would do training from there. So that helped me. Well, I would say it forced me to learn how to do the online training and stuff.
Well,
But
before COVID, nobody heard of Zoom. Everybody
Yeah.
was dealing
No.
with Skype,
It's
actually.
changed everything. You can, do
And
everything
COVID
now.
brought
Well,
right.
I had a YouTube channel for a very long time
Oh,
where I would be recording videos. My sons were into videography, and even before that, I had traveled, I had done different things where I had other people who were there following me around doing videos, whether it was for their own thing, and I
Right.
was just in it, but that opened up the outlet for me to start doing video. So even though they were choreographed or just edited and then put up onto my YouTube channel, and people would follow me from there. So I already
that's
had
good.
some following of people who would watch those videos that even now, some of the people that take my classes, when they can't be at my class and they're traveling, they have the links to my YouTube videos and they just do it wherever they are.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, let's get into what you're doing here. I'm specifically going to ask for, people over 50, okay? Uh, can you still build muscle over 50 and not just, burn the fat, but make it into hopefully build muscle, and then how much protein does a person need every day to build that muscle and lose that fat?
Well, that's a good question, and people ask that a lot, especially new clients. And you definitely can still build muscle over 50. I have seen many people come in that are in their 60s that have either not worked out for a very long time or not at all, or they find now that they're sickly, they're injured, and they've run out of their physical therapy for their injury, whatever, come in. And what I tell most people, in a way, you're at an advantage because your body is used to doing nothing. So now we're going to come in and we're going to start teaching you how to do exercises using weight bearing, whether it's machines, dumbbells, or your own body resistance. And now your body's going to respond to that and it's going to get stronger. And the stronger you get, we're going to add more weight and we're going to make sure that you're eating enough protein. And everybody's different. There's also this whole idea that people need a ton of protein. And I'm vegan. I've been vegan for about 18 years now, and I am certainly not lacking muscle. So most people,
Yeah.
when they see me with a tank top on, they cannot believe that I'm vegan and how do you get so much protein? And I think
Well,
it's
isn't there protein in other foods?
protein is in the food, but
Yeah.
if you are vegan, you're not eating meat, you're not eating eggs, dairy,
Right.
which is what people are accustomed. I don't eat fish either.
Right.
But there's a lot of protein in beans and lentils,
Mhm.
soy, even vegetables. There are different ways of getting through like sea algae and there's other ways of getting it. And there's formulas for per pound of your body weight. Um, I think somewhere like there's a range depending on how much physical activity that you're doing. I personally I fluctuate with my weight around 134 to 138, and I do a calorie counter app on my phone. There's a few different ones, and it will give you a breakdown of your fats, carbohydrates, and the proteins that you're eating. It even tells you how much you should be based on how many calories a day you're having. And I would say for me, my average is somewhere around 60 to 70 grams of protein a day.
Mhm.
And that's based on maintaining maybe 1,600 calories of food a day. So
As you get older, so I was always big on aerobics. I mean, I tried to incorporate just exercise in my everyday life. I was just very active physically,
yes.
and I did aerobics. But now, as you get older, I keep hearing aerobics isn't as helpful as you're older. It's more you want weight resistance training because then it builds muscle, and then the muscle burns more calories. Did I get that right? Or
Well, yes, to some degree. You definitely need the weight bearing to help your bone density. So as we get older, you lose your bone density, you're losing your muscle if you're not doing something to maintain it. And by doing the weight bearing exercises, it will help to maintain that so you don't lose your bone density. And as I said, the more weight training you do, the more muscle you're going to gain, regardless of your age. I mean, if you've been doing heavy work weightlifting your whole entire life, sure, it's going to be a little bit slower, less likely to build as much as you get older, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to have muscle. And it also doesn't mean if you've never done it before that you can't develop muscle. So, and there are also body types. I mean, there are some people I train who are lean and, they get stronger. You could see definition, but they don't get that much bigger. But they're also only doing 30 minutes a few times a week. So it really depends on how much weight you're lifting, how many sets you're doing, how many repetitions you're doing, how many times a week. So if you're just doing, let's say, walking, biking, cardio exercises, which I'm big on because I need to do that or I will get fat. So there's the difference between doing just weight training and maybe your bone density is good, but maybe your cardiovascular conditioning is no good. Maybe your body fat is too high. Maybe your cholesterol is no good or your sugar is too high because you're not burning off the sugar that you're putting in your body. So you really do need a combination of this. If you're a very active person that you move around all day, you probably don't need as much of cardiovascular exercise. You would probably want to spend more time doing the weight bearing. But if you're sedentary all day, you really do you need to somehow incorporate both, which it doesn't have to be, all right, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour. For you, you're sitting, you take breaks, whether that's, I'm going to take 10 minutes several times a day and I'm going to go walk. Or, okay, well, now I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to do a good bicep workout. I'm going to do this set and this set and this set. You could do a lot in 5 minutes. And especially if you do it a few times throughout the day, it doesn't have to be a 45-minute workout in one time. You got to do whatever works for your schedule. It's better than not doing it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, having sitting all day doesn't work for me. So I have to make sure like I just stretch. I get up and stretch. And like I said, anytime I'm on the phone with someone from work, I pace, I walk
Yeah.
quickly. And then when I'm done with work, obviously in the evenings is when I do any kind of workout or something. But yeah, I get confused sometimes about aerobics because I'm like, what is that doing? Because like I got one of those things you squeeze it like this. I do it for my
Yeah.
arms, then you put it in between your knees and you do it for your
Sure, that
legs. So it
works.
builds up. It's resistance, strength training. But then
Sure.
for aerobics, I always feel like, oh, I should probably be doing something aerobic, and that's probably for your heart, right? I should be doing
Yeah,
more
yeah. It's
aerobics. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it helps for your, improve your cardiovascular
yeah,
system and but also too, it has a lot to do with what you're putting into your body as well. If you're a person who's eating a lot of processed foods, sugars, and not getting the nutrients,
yeah.
then and you're sitting all day, then it's storing as body fat. So you could be like what they call skinny fat. Some people will come in and they've been thin their whole life. They've never had to worry about what they were eating. They don't overeat. They just don't really eat
Eat well.
very healthy. They're not over fat or overweight. You look at them and they look trim, but those are also people that have no strength because they've never had to do it in their life. They have no concept of healthy eating because they've just genetically been thin or maybe a quick metabolism growing up or
Mhm.
something. And then you'll see somebody who's looks like they're a little overweight, but they've been working out their whole life. Their whole life is a diet and it's weight training. And, you probably just have bad genetics. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but sometimes people who are a little thicker have had to work at it their whole life and are stronger, probably have better bone density, and maybe have a better knowledge of the healthier choices they should be making. Doesn't mean they're making them, but at least
Right.
more aware of it.
Is it better to do low weights with a lot of reps or heavy weights and a low number of reps, or switch it off?
Yeah, I definitely do a combination in my own workout and also with my clients. So that again, if I were to get that skinny person coming in and they're trying to build up some muscle and they are only able to commit to, let's say, 3 times a week, I am going to try to go heavier weight, which obviously, if you're going heavier, you're only going to get less repetitions. I mean, starting out, no matter who they are, I'm not going to start them with heavy because I don't want them to get injured. I don't know what they're capable of. So I will start everybody a little lighter. I tell them that the range that we're shooting for is maybe 10 to 15 repetitions. Don't stop at 15, keep going. If you get to 20, then I know it's too light for you. I'm going to increase the weight. But if you're struggling at 6 or 7, most likely it's way too heavy and you're going to get hurt. So starting out with a new person, I do keep it somewhere in between but once I know what they're capable of, if you want to build, you got to go heavier weight and you have to do a lot more sets throughout the week or it's not going to happen.
When you start, okay, I'm sure at the gym it's mostly, well, you only do classes at the gym, right? Um,
No, I do. Well, you're talking about from me myself.
yeah. No, no, no. What you teach at the gym? Do
I
you?
teach classes, but then I do one-on-one training up in the fitness room.
Okay. Then in the
Yeah.
fitness
Weights.
room, is it mostly, people who've never been to a gym before, or is it people who are, you know, live in a gym?
Well, the people that are taking my classes, I do get new people all the time, and I try to
New
show.
meaning they've never done anything like this before.
Right. Sometimes
Yeah.
a brand new person will come in and I always ask, have you been taking classes? Do you work out? What do you do? Just so I have an
Right.
idea where they're at. And if they say, no, I'm brand new, then most likely I'm going to tell them if I'm doing step aerobics, don't use the board. Try to do it on the floor. I don't want you falling over the board. I'll give them the lighter weights. I will come around and correct people in my class. If they're doing
Right.
something and their form is really bad, I'll come around and I'll correct them and say, just keep coming back. Each time you'll get better at it. You'll start to get stronger, bigger weights. But when it's personal training, people come to me or they said, oh, you got to train my father. He just had a heart attack or he's so overweight, or I'll get people literally who are 80 years old, had a hip replacement
Mhm.
and they're done with their physical therapy. So what are they supposed to do? They come into the gym and, I start first, I always ask, what were you doing in physical therapy? Were you doing this, this, this? What did they tell you you're allowed to do first? And for the most part, by the time they finish physical therapy, they are doing some kind of hand weights or resistance bands or machines. So I start with very basic and just try to continue what they were doing, building strength. So I have old people, brand new people, very obese people, and you have to modify for all of that.
Right. I always have that attitude that something's better than nothing. Because I think some people they want to do the whole package, do everything, and they feel like if they don't, then they're not really working out. And for me, I do what I can when I can, every time I can. Um, so at least you're doing something. I always feel like everything that I can do is a one step forward, positive.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And when people ask me if they're either looking to join a gym or, oh, I keep trying, but then this gets in the way, or I'll say, you tell me how much time can you commit to? What do you think is realistic? Don't tell me you want to come in and train with me for an hour or you want to meet 3 times a week. What is a realistic amount of time that you can spare? Some people be like, oh, really? Like 30 minutes twice a week. I'm like, okay, then that's what we're going to do.
Wow.
And
It's
we're going to
something.
meet twice a week for 30 minutes, but I'm going to give you some things that you're going to do at home because you can't get out. It will take
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
One day you're going to do this, one day you're going to do that. If you could do both, great. If not, I'll see you in 3 days and we'll pick up where we left off. So that is really the most important thing. You'll get people who were avid workout people for years, and now it's been 4 years. And they think they're going to just pick up where they left off. And all of a sudden, they're going to be in the gym 5 days a week for an hour. I'm sorry, but number one, you're going to be sore. And your body, your brain, forget about your mind. You're not used to that routine of doing it. So you might really want to get back into it, but realistically, it hasn't been
It's
your
fun.
routine for the last 4 years. what makes you think you're going to stick to it? Start off smaller. I tell people, look, if you can just get here and do 20 minutes, just put in your mind 20 minutes and I get to go home. And then once you're there and you got the endorphins kick in, the adrenaline's going, most likely you're going to stay an extra
Right,
5, 10 minutes. You might even stay longer. But
right.
if you just put in your mind, I just have to get there and do 20 minutes.
Okay, now
Just
what do you
it's
do? What do you do if you have somebody who wants to get back in shape? They haven't. They never have. Uh, this was me when I met Cindy many, 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 many years ago. I had never been to a gym. I was out of shape. I had more weight on me than I really needed. Um, but now it's not just what they do to work out, it's what we put in our bodies. And at the time, I was a corporate guy. So I was, on an expense account all the time, and I was putting
Living
shrimp
it up.
cocktails and steaks and martinis and everything else in my body, and certainly spent my time on planes. So I wasn't working out.
so okay. I do tell people when they train with me, once we talk about food and diet, if they say, I want to lose weight or I want to gain weight, if that's their goal, then what I tell them is, I'm not putting you on a diet, but what I would like for you to do is keep a food journal for 5 days. Very specific. Write down exactly what you're eating, how much, what time. I don't care if it was 10 Oreos, 5 beers. I don't care. You're not going to shock me. Nothing will shock me, but put it down, be exact, as precise as you can, and bring it to me. I'm just going to look at it and I'm going to try to tweak it. I'm going to try to give you some better options
Yeah.
to start with. The majority of people, when I look at their daily food log, yeah, I eat a salad. Well, that little thing of iceberg lettuce that you had 2 days ago is not going to cut it,
Yeah.
or but you had a bagel for breakfast, you had your lunch on a sandwich, and then you had either pasta, rice, or bread for dinner. And there was lettuce and tomato on your burger.
That
It's
doesn't
not going to happen.
count. That's a salad.
So I would start very simply by saying, okay, listen, you're having heavy, bad starches 3 times at least a day. Can we cut one of those out? Can you have your chicken on a salad instead of on a bun for lunch? You know,
That's a good
so
idea,
I
though.
do
That's a
try
good
to
way to
and
do
not
it.
stay.
and not have it fried. You're not fried either, grilled.
Yeah. The way you
Yeah.
cook it matters.
Right, right, right. I do ask them, like, be specific. If it was
Yeah.
fried chicken, if it was grilled, whatever. But I do try to start with the lesser of the evils. Let's just try to cut out a couple of these things. Let's try to substitute this with this and see where we go with that. And I also will point them to an app that has a calorie counter.
Oh, all right.
Because honestly, my whole entire life, I am obsessed with my food, calories in, calories out. I want nothing to do with it, honestly, to tell people what to do. I'm also not a dietitian, it's not my expertise. And I've done every single bad thing you possibly can do to try to get skinny.
Mhm.
So I also try not to do that. I try to advise against it. So there's my net diary, there's my fitness pal. I don't know, there's so many of them. I even did Weight Watchers for 2 years. So find something that's going to make you accountable for what you're eating, that's going to give you the nutritious breakdown, so you know if you're eating enough protein, if you're eating too much salt or whatever, it will give you all that. It's all right there for you for free.
One of the things they taught me, again, back then at the gym, I did go to the nutritionist. I learned two things. People who say, "Oh, you see, now I give you credit, Cindy." You're saying, "Well, if you only can give me 30 minutes every few days, I'll take it." When I went to the gym, they taught me, because I went specifically to lose about 25, 30 pounds. And and they said, how long do you want to work out? I said, well, I got time, 40 minutes or so. And the woman said to me, your body needs 40 minutes just to get to the point to start to burn fat. And then you got to go 40 minutes after that of constant nonstop. So I, went on the treadmill, did the, on
How
the,
long did that last?
uh,
Yeah.
until I lost 30 pounds.
Wow, okay.
I got to tell you, between that and the other thing was this that she taught me. It's not just working out; it's the food you consume. And like I said, it was corporate years for me, and
Yeah.
I was just wacky. And she taught me rule number one: step away from white food, white processed,
Uh,
anything like that. Salt, sugar, white bread, cream
potatoes.
sauces,
Yeah.
which
Rice,
we
pasta.
Italians love.
Yeah.
I mean, pasta's okay, and I could share something with you
Well,
on
you
that.
put sauce on it and it's red.
Pasta's okay, but she
It's
said,
not white.
there's nothing wrong with having it primavera, which is with vegetables on it. That's all. And that was great. And olive oil. Okay, I did that. Now, Cindy, I'll tell you something that I only learned a couple of years ago. I'm dazzled that Italians around the world don't know this because we do suffer from cholesterol. We do suffer from sugar at various points in our lives. A lot of my cousins have that. I learned this about 2 years or so ago. If you get good pasta, not ranzoni or something, not no offense, ranzoni, but not the stuff that you buy in ShopRite, but good Italian semolina made pasta. Boil it like you would just going to make pasta. Boil it. When it's ready to be eaten, drain it. Get all the water out. You'll see all that white stuff come out of the bottom, and you get all the water out. Rinse it with water. Doesn't matter. Cold, hot, doesn't matter. Rinse it, drain it, put that pasta in a bag, in a plastic bag, and freeze it. Doesn't matter if it's overnight or if it's for 2 months. I have pasta in my freezer for a month or so, but freeze it. And then when you're ready to eat it, boil water, put your olive oil in the water, boil water. When it's boiling, take that chunk of frozen pasta, put it in the water, let it break up. It's already cooked. Just get it to temperature, drain it, eat it. 60 to 80, I hate using round numbers, but they were very specific. 62% to 80% less carbohydrates, therefore sugar.
Oh,
It's you
yeah,
can
never heard
and
of
Just by
that.
freezing it. Because
this is not me telling you, and it's not some old
Yeah.
Italian. Google it. Just Google
yeah.
does freezing pasta lessen
Wow.
the carbohydrates, and it will come up
Huh.
on numerous sites. I
That's
can't
interesting.
believe that people don't know this.
Yeah, I
I
had no
always heard
idea.
rinsing it gets the starch off of,
Yes, I've
which
heard
is a
that as
lot of the
well.
carbs. So you always rinse it, but never heard that
No.
part. I do want to ask you before we have to go, Cindy. I see on your website, I've been looking here. You do yoga. Do yoga or teach yoga and
Yes, I teach yoga.
aerial yoga, which looks so fun. Can
Oh
you
my God,
share
it is
that
a
a
lot
little
of
bit?
fun.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
you're hanging on these things that
They
look like
also call them
fun.
silks. It looks like a
Okay.
hammock. Yes.
Yeah.
And you
Wow.
it's like a variation. You can also do a very gentle beginner level where you're using it almost like a prop. If you're used to doing any sort of yoga, you can use it and improvise with it. It just makes it more fun. You have something to hold on to for balance, deeper stretching. Or if you want to get a little crazy, there's things, you can do all the flipping around. I am more of a beginner level aerial instructor, and that's all I advertise my class as
You
more of a
do
beginner
use a
level.
mat. There's a mat underneath you,
Yeah,
right?
there's
Just in
mats.
case.
Yeah.
There is, but you know what? I go into some classes and they don't have mats under there. So I
Wow.
guess they're just not expecting to fall. So you
They'll
really,
fall on your head.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the majority of the class, you're not doing anything where you would fall. So
Yeah, you kind of strapped in, it looks like.
There you go.
But that
Well,
looks like a blast. That
it
I
is
could go
so much
for.
fun. It is
Yeah.
is
so
there
much fun.
anything that you want to bring up other than that
Share
about
any
Cindy
tips,
Fox or
any
what you
other
want to
things?
tell the people?
Yeah, I think this would be a good time with the new year. People start with their New Year's resolutions. The gyms generally get busier by the end of January. People ask, you know, how do I know which gym to join? I always tell people, excuse me, go look at the gyms, go into the gyms at the time that you would be working out. Because you could go during your lunch break to check out the gym, but you're going to be going at 5:30 after work. Big difference. Number one, there might not be parking. It might be
Hmm.
super
Oh,
busy. You can't get on the machines.
yeah.
Or if you're going to be working out at 10 o'clock in the morning and you find out there are no classes on the schedule at that time and you specifically want classes. So you need to look at that. If you are brand new, it's worth it to either go into a class, tell the instructor right off the bat, I am brand new. They will be more likely to watch what you're doing, give you pointers, or maybe try an introductory offer for personal training. And also, too, watch the trainers that are there, watch them training other people. You might get somebody who's 25 years old, who's a new trainer, you know, and you're coming in at 60 and, you know, they have you doing heavy weights, box jumps, things that, you know, sometimes I cringe when I look at some people training other people. I'm like, oh my God, it's not really appropriate for me to say anything, but it's a little scary to watch. So yeah, you need to watch them train other people. You need to go look at the gym at the time you're going to, and you also need to set realistic goals for yourself. Like you said, you came in, you had that time and you were determined you were going to do 40 minutes plus 40 minutes. The majority of people are not going to do that. So be realistic with yourself. Maybe in 2 months, you'll be totally fine with that. But right now, if you don't even want to be there, you need to find something that you don't hate doing.
Right.
So if you hate getting on the treadmill, don't do it. Go on a
Yeah.
rower, go on a
Right.
Yeah.
bicycle, take a
Exactly.
Zumba class, take martial arts, find something that maybe you could like enough to keep going back for.
Yeah.
Don't
Make
force
it
yourself to do
fun.
something
Yeah.
you hate.
Another thing that I think really makes working out fun is the music. If you're
Oh,
listening to really good
yes.
Oh yeah.
music, then it
Yes.
makes it so much more fun. It's a whole different experience if you're
Yes, it
listening to
is.
music that you
Yeah.
really like. Yeah. That's upbeat too. It's
Yes.
really
Gotta be.
fun. Yeah. So,
Okay. Well, thank you.
yeah.
I hope you enjoyed it. I know the people who watch and listen will enjoy it. I know
Yeah.
you gave a lot of good information.
Yeah.
I just want to say something that I have watched some of your other shows and I really enjoyed them. I know
Thank you.
recently, well, I don't know how recent. I just kind of scrolled through. I don't know when they're all recorded, but you had a friend of yours, Joni, who does animal rescue. I loved listening to that, and I know there was another
Thank
woman
you.
that you had
She's
on
amazing.
who I don't remember her name because it was a while ago, but had women in maybe
Crisis.
impoverished areas writing their own books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
That
was
was
great. So
uh,
I really love
interesting.
you know, your shows. I haven't
Thank
gotten to
you.
listen to a lot, but the ones that I did, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. That's another thing. You can exercise and listen to a podcast. Um,
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too. I have my favorite podcast that I watch. And if I'm
Yeah.
exercising, I just turn that on. And it distracts you too, especially if you're even more than music, if you're listening to a podcast, you get all involved in the conversation. So you're not aware of like, oh my God, how many more minutes do I have to
Yes.
do this?
And
So
if anybody wants to, I know some people are living, I don't know, some of your listeners are probably not right in Hudson County, New Jersey. I do have Cindy Fox Fitness is my name on Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook, YouTube, and all of that. So I do have people out of the area sometimes saying, "Oh, I wish you lived closer," and they could join in on Zoom workouts, you
awesome.
know, or just even the free
We'll put
workouts right
the
on
website
YouTube.
on the video,
Yeah.
so people can
It'll
see
yeah.
and go visit your website. And that's
Yeah,
awesome. Then
my
you can
well,
train them
my links
anywhere
are on
from
there as
anywhere.
well.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Super.
Okay. There you go. Thank you
Yep.
very much,
Thanks
Cindy.
so
Love
much.
having you.
Me.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, bye.
Bye. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
All views expressed in this video belong to Kelly Nicholson, John D'Amore, and guests. These discussions do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which they have been affiliated now or will be in the future. The opinions expressed are solely theirs, and since they are critically thinking human beings, these views are subject to change, subject to revision, and subject to rethinking at any time. These conversations are not meant to be taken as advice and are only for the purpose of entertainment. All statements may be based on hearsay and not necessarily valid proof of any claims in this video. It is not our intention to teach or advise on any topic. Unless otherwise noted, all photos are public domain. Thanks for watching A Slice of Life with Kelly and John.